it just caught up on me out of nowhere in terms of getting that done, and then kept reading stuff that's new this week, which is what we head to now. I know that there's a lot of stuff from Marvel this week. We got Moon Knight issue 6, Trial of Magneto issue 5, Darth Vader 19, Kang the Conqueror 5, Iron Man 15, Black Panther 2, which I did read that ahead of this, and the story's good. The action, I said it in the review of the first issue, the action leaves a little bit to be desired at times, but the story is good enough that like I'm able to move past it. And the action was better this time around, so it's still a solid book, but it's like issue by issue you could lose me. So it's all on Ridley right now to keep me tuned in, I guess. We got Hawkeye Kate Bishop issue 2, which you read the first issue for that. You haven't been able to get to that second one, right?
No, but I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Star Wars The High Republic Trail of Shadows issue 3, Darkhold Spider-Man issue 1, Miss Marvel Beyond the Limit issue 1, King Conan issue 1, and then we come to Wastelanders Hawkeye. Unless there's one of those you wanted to touch on before I go.
No, I just said King Conan #1 is another one I definitely want to read.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That's not one that's really going to be on my radar, so I'd love to hear what you think about that maybe next week when you catch up. But Wastelanders Hawkeye issue 1. Now, I was not high on the Wastelanders Wolverine story. I ended up giving, I think, a 7 on Geeks Worldwide because the way like we do the grading, but I was leaning towards lower than that going into it. I mean, after I'd read it. But we have our format and whatever that we do that under. But Wastelanders Hawkeye issue 1 to me was exactly what I want from one of these books. Like, like everybody knows Old Man Hawkeye. He had his series. He's in Old Man Logan too, and he's a cool character. And you see other characters pop up without spoiling anything for you guys. You see other characters pop up in this world that are like, older legacy Marvel characters that you care about, and you get, just enough Hawkeye stuff, and it's a fun, cool mission and everything, and you get enough from the other characters too that's really cool action and everything. So I really like what they did there. I hope that's what we get from this other stuff too. I think we have was it Wastelanders Star-Lord next, so I'm assuming we're going to get Rocket in there too, because he was in the podcast that Benjamin Percy wrote. And then I think we might be getting Black Widow. We might get as well. So there's potential for this still. As much as the first one was the Wolverine one, which you think would kick ass, was a little bit of a letdown, at least on my end. We move over to Boom. Oh, did you have something? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Nope.
From Boom, we have House of Slaughter issue 3, and then Eat the Rich issue 5, and Maw issue 4. All books that you've been reading.
So I have to catch up on Maw. I still have to read Maw issue 3 and 4, which coming out as you're listening to this. House of Slaughter 3 and Eat the Rich. Both of those I've read. Eat the Rich, man, this was an intense finale. This has been such a great book.
Really?
Can't wait to talk about it. This was a fun one to read.
Yeah, you've been on this one from day one. Falls back into like Boom with its fastball and everything. Getting it back.
Yeah, they brought it with this one, which is great, and it does look like it. I think it will be continued, but I'm not sure. But it had a really good. It wrapped up really well. House of Slaughter #3, man. I could do without it, to be honest with you.
Really, that bad? Wow.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's to say that it does not mean that it's bad.
Okay.
I want what makes Something Is Killing the Children great is the character Erica Slaughter, and the purpose of House of Slaughter is to give us more of a background of the Order of St. George and the House of Slaughter, and its primary focus is on the character Aaron and another character named Jace. The problem is Aaron is just not interesting. And his story, it's like taking too long. The pacing of it is far too slow. We got a little bit of action in this book, but it's like, I feel like we could have gotten to this point already. And we're only 3 issues in, right? And so, like, it was recently announced that Tynan is going to be doing more. Something Is Killing the Children. We are getting another Erica Slaughter arc for that. I am fucking 10 toes, both feet, all 220. I am in, baby.
Yeah.
Right. But this, I just like, it's fine, but like, it's not needed. It's not giving me anything.
I'm worried
that I
about
didn't
Tynan
already
right
pick
now,
up.
man. I know he's your guy, and obviously he's a great writer. Like whether or not he's your guy, he is a great writer. But just there's a lot of different things where it's like you've been saying this and that, and that he's involved in and stuff that he's supposed to be like on top of, but he's kind of stepped back from now because of all these moves that he's making with Substack. It's just it's weird. Like he comes off this year where he's just he becomes like a titan in the industry, wins the Eisner and everything like that. And he's kicking ass and taking names. And now it's just kind of like, what has gone on this year? What is happening with him right now? Not saying obviously that stuff's
I
bad,
mean,
but I'm
maybe he's burnt out.
hey, that could be
You
it.
know,
That could be easily
um,
that happens. So
that
I'm not
does that does happen. It's just
it,
it stinks. Because like okay, he wanted to finish up Batman. That's
mhm,
fine.
mhm.
But now he's handing the Joker off to someone else. And this is, I mean, it says James Tynion, Tate Bromble, but I got to imagine that it's Tate Bromble writing a majority of the
Yeah.
book with Tynion just sort of overseeing it.
Yeah, probably as Ned or like Todd's doing with Sean Lewis over on
Yeah.
the Spawn
And don't
stuff.
get me wrong, I love the art. Chris Sheehan's art in this has been absolutely
Mm.
fantastic because it
Autumnal,
is,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is very similar to Werther Deladera, different
Mhm.
but similar. The
Right.
art's been fantastic. It's just I'm asking myself, is this adding anything that I need? And it's
Yeah.
not. And maybe it will, maybe just, but like,
Mhm.
it's like with Berserker. Get to it. I still haven't read it,
I
but
gotta go back
get
and read the issue 6
to
still.
it.
That
You
came
know
out
what I
last
mean?
week. Yeah. Yeah,
So that's sort of how I feel.
I don't understand how Berserker has been getting as much praise as it has, other than the fact that the Keanu Reeves, his name is on the book. Outside of that, I'm like, what? Why is everybody saying like this is? You see it on like best books of the year. Like we just produced our own list
Well,
for Geeks Worldwide, not on our list, but on others. I'm like, what are you doing? They're not even close to being on my radar.
no, I think it's
And
just
we're like the target audience. Like you look at what Geeks Worldwide, what we put out for best book of the year, right? So I was one that put that together. So I saw everybody's books that are coming in, and there are some books that you've talked about, some books that we know about that aren't necessarily on our radar, things that aren't like for us. But either way, like so I understand that you're gonna get a diverse mix, but Berserker feels like that's a book that's made for us, and it's just like we couldn't care less about it. I'm still trying to read it because like I want to be able to report back on it in full when it's done. But it's like it's just been a letdown.
well, it's got the hype. It's got the hype,
It
right?
had
It's got
that. Yep.
Keanu's attached to it, and that first issue came out like fucking gangbusters.
Yes,
That
it
first
did.
issue, like, set a set a bar and set a tone that it is yet to reach. And like, I stopped reading it, but issues 2, 3, I think I gave it 4 issues, were all
I
the
think you said
same.
before.
They were
Yeah.
all the same. Nothing happened.
Yeah, it's a lot of just thinking in the
You know,
past and not like but yeah, the pacing on the book has been off. Like that,
like
like
you, yeah, you because the problem is it needs to be a present day story with you can have these flashbacks to different points of his past. That would be far better. Like seeing him at different points throughout time versus just like I don't need a 4 issue origin story.
yeah, it's been about a character that's just like, am I supposed to be invested just because it's Keanu essentially? Like
Yeah,
it's gonna get its
yeah,
Netflix. It's been optioned for Netflix and everything, and it'll get a show. I'm sure the show will end up being better. People will be like, "Oh, I gotta read Berserker," and we'll tell you guys, no. Like so far from what we've seen, no. It like it
yeah,
could be a good show still. Like they'll learn from their mistakes, I'm sure, but it's been a letdown. What
yeah.
hasn't been a letdown though, as we move over to Image, Gunslinger Spawn issue 3. Not the, okay. So all the first 2 issues were outstanding. Really loved them. This one was definitely it was so good, but it felt like a little bit stagnant's not the word because there's still a lot of awesome action in this. We meet a new character and everything like that, but it's just I felt like it was a little bit slower in terms of the
Yeah.
tempo, but still like the pacing was just off, I would say in general. Still giving it a good grade. I'm reviewing it for Geeks Worldwide and everything. So like an 8.5. Brett Booth's art is just too good. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
the gunslinger character is just too cool. So I'm still like, this is a character, and there's a lot more movement than Berserker. I will
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that.
A lot
But
of
then
dialogue in this one too,
yep, and then
or
we
at
got
least a lot of narration, I should say.
oh yeah, well that's what anytime Todd's writing it, you know that there's going to be that as opposed to like Sean Lewis where things are moving along a little bit quicker in King Spawn. Still, the Scorch coming soon. When that comes out, we're going to be reviewing that for you guys. We're going to be giving that releasing that interview for you guys. We're itching to get that one out there. Now let's see. We got Radiant Black issue 11. Of course, we got Kyle Higgins on a while back. Speaking of interviews, in the ending of this issue, like the issue 10 was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Then we find out some crazy shit happened, between in the course of all that we didn't know about in issue 11. Some like I don't want to like you because I know you haven't gotten to it yet, but some crazy shit happened there. And then the end of this issue is just like, oh, okay, then all right, because there's been some question marks about a certain character who's been sidelined, and maybe some of that stuff gets addressed in the slightest
Oh,
capacity. So I'm very excited going into issue 12. I think the focus is going to be there more so. And then we also have a Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. Issue 3 of that was out this week, and another more dialogue than the first one, which doesn't take much, but like again, breakneck pace for this story.
yeah. I'm still kind of confused,
A little bit,
right?
a little
A little
bit.
bit. Like, what's the motives? What is this guy like? At first, you're thinking, okay, he's on a quest, like something happened to a family member, a wife, a sister, or something, and he's out. And then you get issues 2, and then it's like it's very interesting. This is the weird thing about this book. It is not a lot of dialogue. It's
Right.
very interesting. I still don't know what the fuck is going on,
Yeah, I'm
but
with
I
you.
want more. I
Yeah,
want more.
it
It's
moves so fast that it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild, but it's been but I've really enjoyed it so
yeah.
far. It's the quite like the thing it always comes down to is the quality of the questions that the reader is asking him or herself or themselves after the fact, and that's what this one of the things this does so well. And then the pacing is just crazy. As we look over to Dark Horse, I remember I did have one book for catching up. I read Cloaked after last week's episode.
Oh,
That came out last week. Yes, I read the first issue of that. It
what do you
was,
think?
I thought I texted you. I think I did. It was really good. It was
Yeah,
really good. Yeah, I
told
really
you.
liked it a lot. Yes, a lot of tension in that episode, a lot of question marks. And then the ending is like, well, shit. Okay. All right. I'm
Yeah,
definitely in on this series. Definitely
yeah,
in on that.
yeah. That was a lot of fun.
We got Black Solstice issue 1 out this week from them, and then Joy Operations issue 2. Of course, that's by Bendis. Dynamite, we have Rodney Barnes, Army of Darkness, 1979 issue 4. Aftershock, Chicken Devil issue 3, which I've been all over this series. And then the Search for Who issue 4. IDW has Marvel Action Avengers issue 1. AWA had Telepaths issue 4. Comixology. So last week, I forgot to mention this. Last week, someone decided to give me shit because I hadn't read We Have Demons issue 3. So I go right away to check that out because I want to read. I'm like, how did that slip my mind in the course of things? And then I go to look and it's like, oh, We Have Demons issue 3 hasn't come out yet. So yeah. So watch yourself.
Fake news, Bray.
And then this week, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get it now. We get The Clear issue 3. We get Night of the Ghoul issue 3. So that one's a week ahead, apparently. And then we don't get We Have Demons issue 3. But we did get the All-Nighter, which that is the Zdarsky book, right?
It is.
Okay.
This is what's called karma
Oh,
for cheating with the goddamn coin flip, you snake.
Oh, right. Oh, wow. Okay. Still on that bullshit. Okay, cool. All right.
Always on that bullshit.
Mm.
So I didn't get a chance to read Night of the Ghoul, but I read The Clear, and this is just an absolutely fascinating book. Where the first issue like just knocked my socks off, but then the second issue was like, okay, all right, okay, let's see where this is going. And then like, what Scott Snyder does, he always like, one of the things I love about the way he writes and the way he constructs a story is, you've got your characters and they look a certain way, they act a certain way, but you don't know exactly why. You think it's just, oh, this is how this character is supposed to look. But then in this issue, something happens where you get a backstory and it all makes sense. And this issue really was like, it put a bunch of puzzles in place, puzzle pieces in place that really, just is bringing the story together and elevating it. It's a really good mystery noir type story.
Okay.
And I loved how things came together in this issue, where it ended, where it's going. Top notch stuff.
So these are books too. Night of the Ghoul, We Have Demons, in The Clear. Those books are going to be released in print form in March. We finally got a date on those things. It's going to be single issue releases as well. There is going to be stuff. There's going to be like, I think the script is going to be in that first issue, at least for We Have Demons. I heard Scott talk about that. So this is definitely going to be something you guys want to pick up if you don't have Comixology Unlimited. Of course, Joe and I have been loving this series. We will talk about the series, all three of them on the whole in some capacity on here when those start to get released, because all of them will have been out on Comixology. Still waiting on that last We Have Demons, but they're all 3-issue stories with supersized arcs. Sorry, 3-issue arcs, first arcs with supersized at a supersized level. So it's going to end up being still like 6 issues. Just you're getting them in 3 issues instead. So we will do that. We will definitely be careful about spoilers because people are going to be picking those up one by one as they're released. But we've been really enjoying this, and I'm probably going to pick up at least the We Have Demons single issues because like there's going to be other cool stuff in there. That Scott's going to be providing that give you a reason if you have Comixology Unlimited to pick it up. And I like the artist. It's what Frank Avila and Francis Manipul, right, on the 2 stories you're reading. But Capullo is one of my guys, like 100%. And I think most people would say that. We move over to DC. Now we have Joe's favorite series, probably his series of the year, Batcat issue 9.
That dumb fucking book.
Justice League Incarnate issue 2, Batman versus Big B issue 4. It sounds like Violet's not a fan of Batcat 9 either. Refrigerator Full of Heads issue 3, Wonder Woman Evolution issue 2. Then we have Robins 2, which I read the first issue and was like, there's potential. I really want this to be a good book, and I gave it a 7, I think, for a grade, maybe 6.5, but I was like, I want this to be better, and the bones are definitely there. And I was reading it, and I'm like, no, I'm out.
You're off.
I'm out. Yep. And I went to the end, and I'm like, yeah, no, definitely not out. I'm definitely out on this. I still will probably keep tabs because I'm interested in the whole premise of this being, possibly the original Robin. But it's just like, kids will like it. It's definitely for a younger audience for sure, and that may be part of why it doesn't hit for me. But I just feel like there's a lot of potential here to have it be a little darker and everything, and it's just like kind of dragged for me this issue. What didn't drag was Nightwing 87, which we've been waiting for a while. This is the one we've been teasing. Like, okay, we know. Tom Taylor announced it. We just couldn't remember which friggin' issue it was. This is the issue where there are no panels. It is just one fluid story, and all of the arts just kind of flow into one another. And we saw this I saw it in the Black Widow series by Kelly Thompson. And I really like that. Like with certain characters, it makes a lot of sense where you just have like a bunch of different images of that individual. And I wonder if they got this from the Kelly Thompson series because it works so well with Black Widow. Not that this is the first time we've ever seen it, but it just works so well with her. So they do it with Nightwing and Joe. This, in the grand scheme of the story, yes, it's this is like this individual story is important for Dick Grayson and Nightwing and everything, and I'm separating the two for a reason. But it's not like the craziest issue ever. But in terms of a writing perspective, it's good. Not, I wouldn't say like mind blowing, but the art in the premise of the story fits perfectly for what they did in terms of an artwork approach. And I absolutely loved it. I would love to see more of this with Nightwing. So it was one of the best issues we've gotten of Nightwing, even though the story isn't necessarily like the craziest development so far. It's just like, it's really good, and I'm really excited for people to give this a look.
I wanted to read it ahead of time, but I also wanted to actually read it with it in my hand, like to read the physical copy. So I went to Newbury Comics this morning to go get it, and just like everything else, the shipment was delayed, wasn't there. They've been having issues, unfortunately. Last week the Marvel books didn't arrive on time. The week before it was the indie books weren't there on time. So it's like, Jesus Christ, because I wanted to actually it's one thing to kind of look at on a tablet, but I wanted to just see how it looked, in all its glory. So you said it wasn't the best story, so
it's still good. It's like we've had some crazy mind blowing stuff from Tom Taylor, and he's gotten in tune with the character so well. I'm not saying it's not I'm not doing it justice by saying it's not the best. It's not a bad story. It's like a 8. The story is probably an 8, 8.5. Eat comfortably in that range.
But how does it rank with some of the other stories that we've gotten, say pre Stupid Fear State stuff? Because those stories were great.
Yeah, I would say it's probably not as good, but it's just it's more about it's It's probably not as good in that sense, but it fits what you're trying to what they were trying to do with the art, and that's what this is all about. This whole issue, the art is more important. That's all I care about. How did that flow? And it was great. Like if they are going to do this more going forward, I can't imagine they will, because I'm sure like the Bruno Redondo, or I say his name wrong all the time, but he probably had to do a lot of extra work for this because these are all spreads. But it's like if they did this going forward, then yeah, then you got to make some adjustments on the story. But this is just an action-packed issue, all car chase and that and like going and fighting bad guys, like henchmen and stuff like that. That's all this is. So it works, but it's not like this groundbreaking emotional story. Like we're getting crazy character development. It's fun. Like that's more. It's like it's fun, and then the action is in the artwork and the different styles what's
Right.
supposed to take you in, and it does that. So I still give it like a 9.5, like easy. Just the story's not the best that I would say, but it's not like it's not bad. Like
Gotcha,
that's
gotcha,
not
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
So that's my apologies for misleading you a little bit there. Batman One Dark Knight from Jock. Also been waiting for this for a while. I gotta say, like the art. We talk about the art for Nightwing. What we get from Jock here with Batman, there's some moments that's just like wow, like just like with the cape and everything. It's really cool. Really cool. So I'm excited. I don't know. This is a Black Label series, but I don't know
Yeah.
if it's 3 issues or 6. But I'm very excited for this one going forward. And speaking of Batman, actually, do you have a Batman book planned for us? Am I correct?